Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for the twinning. This is one of 3 new level 80 dungeons made available by patch 5.0 in Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. It's about time we became the alphas of Crystal Tower. My name is Miztech, and with the help of this guide, we'll all be #twinning. The first few trash pulls have the usual AoE attacks to look out for. As you destroy each trash group, you'll be able to jump from platform to platform and progress further down. As you go on, you might notice some familiar faces. The first boss is Alpha ZAGHNAL. You'll notice a number of containment units full of scary looking dogs on either side of the platform. If hit by any attack, these units will break and the adds inside will need to be dealt with. As such, you'll need to be careful dodging the boss attacks throughout the encounter, taking care not to break any of these units if possible. AUGURIUM will hit the primary target for high damage, cooldown and heal through this as necessary. Beastly Roar will deal high group-wide damage that healers should be on the lookout for. Eventually, the boss will rip off one of his horns and mark up each player with a number. He will then slam down towards each player in order from 1 to 4, hitting them with a long column attack. You'll want to position yourself in such a way as to not overlap with other players and also avoid hitting any of the containment units. If you do hit one of the adds, tanks be sure to pick it up as quickly as possible while the rest of the group focuses it down. POUNCE ERRANT will mark up all players with a massive AoE circle marker in a sequence. Again, you'll need to separate from one another without hitting any of the containment units on the sides. The boss will jump to each player in the same order the AoE markers came up in, before resuming his attacks. Charge Eradicated will target a random player with a stack-up marker. The group will need to collapse onto this player to share the damage. As soon as that damage goes out, a puddle will be formed underneath the group that should be moved out of. However, another stack-up marker immediately applies, so the group will need to stay together as they move out of that first puddle. Another puddle will drop, and all players need to make sure they move out of it. These puddles do persist for some time, so watch your step. While the puddles are up, you will have limited room to handle each mechanic, so be careful. These same mechanics will repeat until the boss is down. Even with the cool aesthetic in this next section, the trash pulls are fairly simple. Eventually, we reach the second boss, Mithridates. Thunderbeam will deal high damage to the primary target, cooldown and heal through this. Electric Discharge will cause a number of orbs to spawn around the platform in a set pattern. These will quickly explode in wider AoE circles, and players will need to move into the safe zones away from the orbs to avoid damage and debuffs. Periodically, the boss will move into the center and cast Laser Blade. A number of large line AoEs will cover the platform, and players will need to quickly move into the safe spots. Elegant Thunder will target all players with the circle AoE marker, and they'll need to separate from one another to avoid overlapping damage. From this point on, these mechanics will begin to overlap and must be handled all at once. Find a safe spot between the lasers while spreading the thunder circles and avoiding the other thunder circles. These mechanics will repeat until the boss is down. In this last section, you can easily pull a few packs at a time. The only time I'd caution care is if your tank seems a little green. Make sure you watch for AoEs and avoid unnecessary damage to keep your healers from feeling blue. The last boss is the Tycoon. Magitech Crossray will cause 4 Magitech bits to form around the boss and eventually throw out line AoE attacks from the boss in their direction. These AoEs will be stopped mid-cast by temporal stasis and persist for some time. Be sure to avoid these areas until stasis is ended and the AoEs finish their blast across the room. Defensive Array will spawn bits on the outer edges of the platform that will shoot towards the center of the platform. Again, temporal stasis will stop these mid-cast, and players can take this extra time to adjust appropriately. Once stasis ends, the AoEs will continue to blast across the platform. Artificial Gravity will cause the number of red spots to spawn around the room. These spots will eventually grow into massive AoE zones that must be avoided. To do so, players can pre-position far away from the initial small spots to be out of the way when they expand. Rail Cannon is a heavy-hitting tankbuster on the primary target. Cooldown and heal as necessary. MAGICRYSTAL will target all players with these circle AoE markers. They'll need to move away from one another to avoid overlapping, all while also avoiding the other attacks. High Tension Discharger will deal group-wide damage. Healers stay ready. All of these mechanics will repeat with some overlap as the encounter progresses. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Up next, we'll all learn at the Academia a Niter. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.